Hi, I'm David Scranton from the Income Generation, and thank you for clicking this video because today we're talking about a very important question that pretty much everyone wants to know, and that's when should I retire? When will I know I'm ready to retire? And because that's such a big topic, we brought on an uber successful financial advisor from the Nashville, Tennessee area, and that is Nathan Cox, co-founder of Retirement Income Solutions, a retirement income store. Nathan, good to catch up with, my friend. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a minute, hasn't it, Dave?
That's right. That's right. So this is a huge thing that you and I come across this all the time, but people hear from me all the time. So I want to know how you coach people to this. People come to you and say, am I ready to retire, right? So how do you start that conversation, getting them to determine whether or not they're really ready to retire?
You know, it's kind of funny. I jokingly tell people sometimes that getting ready for retirement or preparing for retirement is not rocket science. But today I happen to be in our Tullahoma, Tennessee office, which is home to Arnold Engineering and Arnold Air Force Base, okay, which happens to house probably some of the best jet propulsion and rocket scientists in the country. So right, sometimes it does involve a little bit of rocket science.
For them, it does. That's right.
But I think not only that, but just looking at the financial side of things, I think sometimes is a mistake. Okay. I believe that you really should know what retirement looks like for you, because it's different for everyone. People have different ideas about retirement and what retirement looks like and how they're going to spend their time. You know, I think maybe I guess you could call it the psychological side of retirement is also a big factor.
You know, it's so funny you say that, Nathan, because I've seen people who the last 10 years of their career were planning to retire, wanted to retire. They retired, they were depressed, and they ended up getting a contracting gig within 6 months after retirement, right? Because they couldn't take it. Yeah, I've had other people that never wanted to retire. They were workaholics. They loved it. One day they snapped and said they're going to retire. They did, and they've been happy ever since. And I think you're right. The common element there is knowing what you're going to use to fill the void. Because if you're retiring because you're just leaving, you know, you're leaving a situation that's a bad situation. You know, I hate my boss, I'm retiring, right? Then you don't really know what you're moving toward. And all of a sudden, you're sitting home one day, you're watching TV, and it's very anticlimactic. But if you've really thought about what you're moving toward, that's helpful. That's hugely helpful because now you have something to look forward to, how to fill your day. It's exciting. And as financial advisors, Nathan, it also then makes it easier for us to figure out how much income you're going to want or need in retirement because we know what you're planning to do, right?
Exactly, which involves lining up your income sources and being able to coordinate that with your tax situations, because you know it's more about the amount of income that you're able to keep, right, on the financial side. But I agree with you, Dave. I think it's less about running away from something and more toward running towards something, if that makes any sense. So yeah. Sure, yeah.
So okay, so I'm retiring. Okay, now I deal with this all the time, so I can't wait to see how you handle this, but I'm retiring. And I know that I can retire on a lot less income than I have right now because that's what all my friends tell me.
Mm-hmm.
True or false?
Usually false.
Usually false. So how do we back into that? You know, if you've got a do-it-yourself investor who's watching this, you know, how do they back into figuring out, you know, am I really going to need a little less when I retire? Or maybe I actually need more because I have so many fun things I want to do.
We need to think about what those fun things are and really put a price tag on those things. You know, depending on what the fun things are. I mean, some of those things could cost a lot and maybe not. Mm-hmm. But pretty much anything in life costs money. Yeah. I mean, even if you're doing volunteer work. So I think backing into it, you should really focus on what it is you're going to occupy your time with and put costs or figures on those things. You know, whether it be travel, you know, hanging out with your grandchildren, you know, taking them on vacations, like I say, even volunteer work and things of that nature.
And some people come, I'm sure, as they do with me, ready to go, right? They come to you saying, hey, this is what I want to do in retirement. I'm excited. But isn't it true a lot of times we have to encourage people to think creatively because, your entire life has been like getting by, right? You go to work, you save for a house, you get that house. Then maybe you plan to have children, right? You have children. And then all of a sudden, maybe one spouse stays home and now you're living on one income instead of two. So things are tight. And then you're struggling to save for college education. Finally get through that, you're an empty nester and you say, wow, retirement's right around the corner. Now you save everything you can for retirement. So it's all been getting by, reacting, and now you're at a point in your life where you can craft your future. And I find that most people sometimes, a lot of people don't necessarily know what that future looks like, what they really want. And we need to help them paint the picture, right? Because it should be a fun thing.
It is, and it should be, and it can be. Because like I said, I think people would just, it's a whole new universe for them. Their life, it seems like in most cases with people that I've had conversations with, has been controlled in some way or another. All right. But now they've got full control. And sometimes they just don't know how to handle it. So they just need a little bit of guidance, I guess you could say, and knowing and helping understand what that looks like. And having the right financial advisor that's had experience and many conversations with people in the past who have been through this before can kind of help people walk through that.
Yeah, if you've seen it in many cases and you've helped people through, sure, nothing replaces experience. And I always tell people too, if you have some friends that have retired and seem happily retired, seem to be truly enjoying it, go talk to them, get advice for them as to what they do, what makes them so happy, because there's no replacement for somebody who's been there before you. But,
exactly.
But now correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest misconceptions that I find is how people look at their money in preparation for retirement, right? You're saving, you're looking at your net worth, and you're not paying attention to anything else other than the value of your investments. But all of a sudden, as you approach retirement, that changes, right? And all of a sudden, the amount of the net worth isn't as important as the amount of income it can generate.
I agree with that 100%. And that is a very, very common, I guess it's misconception or even mistake that people make sometimes. They only focus on that dollar amount. They want to get to a certain dollar amount. They're not focusing on, you're right, that the amount of income that those dollars represent and the amount of income that those dollars can generate. And that's really what's important at that point in time in their life.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And now, okay, so I'm going to retire. I'm going to be facetious here with you, right? I'm going to retire December 31st of 2023. So I'm going to stay really in growth mode. I'm not going to focus on how much interest and dividends are coming from my investments. I'm going to focus on growth and capital appreciation. And then sometime in December of 2023, in that month leading up to retirement, I'm going to go ahead and flip a switch, and I'm going to go from a growth mindset to an income mindset.
So you're trying to market time, Dave.
No, but I just don't need to switch from growth to income until I actually need income, right? I don't need to prepare in advance.
I believe, if you're wanting my opinion, which I think is what you're asking, if we're having this conversation, I would advise you to start transitioning before that point in time. I'd advise you start transitioning from growth and capital appreciation to more of an income-based investment plan prior to retirement. And to be quite honest with you, Dave, I think you probably should have already done that. If you're talking about retiring December 31st of 2023, you probably should have already done some of that already.
You have the accumulation phase, you have the income phase, and then ultimately you have the distribution phase when you get closer to your life expectancy. What everyone forgets about is that 10-year transition phase that's after the accumulation phase, but before the income phase. And you're right, if I'm retiring in 2 years and 3 months, I've waited too long. I need to get on it. So always good words of wisdom, Nathan, as usual. And thank you. Appreciate you helping me out with this also important topic.
No problem. Thank you, Dave.
And thank you for clicking this video. If you enjoyed the interview, click the thumbs up button to give us a like. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interviews with retirement income specialists from around the country.